please, like, I don't like you, I don't like. Today we're asking about what is the science of emotions and relationships. Well, believe it or not, there are 4 studies, huge ones out there, that support the hypothesis expressing negative emotions can be linked to positive relationships. Believe it or not, it's true. So the science of emotions and relationships encompass various fields. This can be and is psychology, neuroscience, sociology and biology, right up my street. So we try to, with all of this in mind, understand the complex interplay between our emotions, our interpersonal connections. And when I say interpersonal, I'm also saying personal towards myself, how I feel about myself, my self-leadership, how I feel within myself and towards others as well. And the social behavior, and it might just only be me and my partner, or me and my group, or me and my family. It might be my friends, my relationships with my least liked friend with my most grumbliest person in my family, how they get on together, how everybody links together with me at the center. If you have emotional regulation, you are doing very well. In fact, you can stop the video right now. But if you want to continue with it, trying to regulate yourself can be quite challenging, because we are people that have hormones. Yes, even the men, we all have hormones. And in fact, the older we get, the trickier it can be to control all of these things. And so if we can regulate our emotions, one of the things we can do with this is empathy. If we kind of go, look, let's see it from the other person's point of view, and I'm not feeling my very best today. I'm a little bit deregulated. In fact, I may have expressed myself in some ways that emphasized I was a little bit peed off with that person, when in reality you weren't, but perhaps that's the way you're showing it. After all, you can't see yourself looking at another person when indeed it's live. So you have to give a person the benefit of the doubt. That's where the empathy comes in, to see people's emotions from their point of view through your lens. So it's central to have this emotional regulation. Why? Because human behavior is influenced by our thoughts. My thoughts, my group's thoughts, your group's thoughts, how we interact, how we beat off each other, and the decision and the decisiveness of those decisions, and the interactions, what's going on with everybody. Because emotional regulation refers to the ability to manage and to even modulate your emotional way. Now, research in this area has explored how individuals can relate their ways and their emotions with their underlying neural mechanisms. And this emotions and the mechanisms together with the neurology is affecting our mental health. This is where mental and emotional health intertwine. This is where we can be pulled back. So it's important to know that I have to be as objective in my very best day, to be the referee as such for my own emotions in the future, and to say, look, tomorrow, if I get up 10 minutes earlier, I might be a little bit tired, and that might have an impact on how I present myself to others, how I communicate. And with that, we have to be fair to others around us, because whatever they project back to us, they might be getting up 10 minutes early. They might be a little bit kind of hormonal or whatever else. So we have to be careful to have that regulation. Attachment theory is huge as well. It's a very broad field, extremely interesting. I definitely say look forward a bit more to it. I will have videos out on it. But if we look at the way we were brought up in the basics of this, right, how we link in the first couple of years, 2 or 3 years, with our caregivers, and how we react, and whether or not we're validated with our emotions, is so important and critical to how we then prosper or not as adults, how we developed, how we will go forward. In our adult years, it's more difficult to rewire ourselves than it is when we're children. Therefore, as children, with that initial caregiver, and when I say caregiver, I'm talking about the first couple of years. It doesn't necessarily have to be the biological mother or father. It's the person that gives us the care, that nurtures us in those intimate years. And once we get that and they react in the proper manner to all the different pressures and outside forces that, let's just say, upset us in a bad way and in a good way, that is so critical towards our life thread. So going forward, even into our adult years, all our emotional and baggage, shall we call it, good or bad, is intertwined with how we relate to brand new partners, even into our 50s and 60s and beyond. So those couple of years are critical towards us. Not to mention the fact that we might have all of this biological other stuff coming forward, and our genetics and so on, and how we relate to others via our emotions, or how our thinking patterns are in the first place. That's a whole nother story. So with attachment, we can have a very close attachment to a caregiver, the opposite sex, or we could look or seek out a partner that's similar to that in the future, unbeknownst to ourselves, and we're questioning, why the heck am I doing that? It's always unsuccessful in relationships, but this is why. We may have a very bad caregiver, for example, and we're wondering, why is it I'm having bad relationships in the future? It's a ping pong effect. We may have situations where most of the time the caregiver, who is excellent and a great person and a great carer, makes the right decision, but for some reason they have a bit of an oddity towards certain maybe close relationships, or even things that as basic as going shopping, how they deal with people there. That can be coded into ourselves as we grow up, and this attachment becomes the way we do things in the future in shopping centres and shopping malls and so on. It's as intricate and as interesting as that. Strong social support is required. If we think about emotions, if I have passion for a sport, or for a musical band, or for an actor, that's a wonderful thing. But at the end of the day, I want to connect with these people. I want to go and meet my heroes, shake their hands and say, well done, you won. Or hug my greatest singer of all time, or shake the hands of that wonderful actor, the person that won the Golden Globe or Oscar. Because I have this entwined empathy as a person, as a human being. I want to give them social support and say thank you for all the great things and times in your life that you've done that for me. But also I want them to do that towards me. I feel this kinship. You might know me, Mr. Actor of Extraordinaire, but by you getting to know my reflection of your work and the things you've put out there, you know how much it touched me. And in doing so, that's proving that social support is so intertwined with our emotions and our relationships, and therefore our well-being, because it is the seat of how we feel happy. We need company. We're here to have some sort of social connection. This is why I'm putting this video out there. I want you to connect with me. I want to hear your stories. I would like to get to know you. So strong social connections and social support are associated with better physical and mental health outcomes throughout the research, which is fantastic. Now, studies have shown that having supportive relationships alleviate and stop and cease and provide a resistance towards stress. They reduce the risk of anxiety and further leaking into depression, and promoting an overall well-being, not just in how we feel towards a particular issue or an emotion, but in the future as well. It gives us that grounding and that lovely soft edges on our circumference with regard to how an emotion presents itself in the future, and how we can then interact with somebody via social support or in an intimate relationship also. Interpersonal communication then is critical to all of this. So if I have feelings for somebody, they have feelings for me, if we're not communicating, we may as well be bashing our heads off each other. There's nothing happening. Yes, you're going to have a huge chemical reaction towards each other in a good way and an attraction. But at the end of it all, when our bodies slow down and the years pass, what happens? It's all about communication, because it's about how we link with each other. And we need to have what I mentioned before, the empathy, but also the respect for each other, because effective communication is essential for long-term and maintaining healthy relationships. And there will be conflicts. I have a friend, and I'm glad you know, but the friend and myself were speaking one time. I said, hey, what happens when certain things come up on the television? I switch over. Why? Because they don't want their partner to know their opinions on it. They don't want to open up that can of worms. But I say it's healthy. So research is within this interpersonal communication, examines non-verbal cues people make. So even though they're saying their words, I love you, the reality is their tone of voice, their expressions or their lack of enthusiasm or positivity within their body is the cue. The body is the real signal box towards all of this. So read their body, turn down the sound a little bit, and see how great the person feels about you and vice versa. This is truly important for our interpersonal communication. We can go into the neurobiology of love because there are neurobiological mechanisms underlying our emotions and social bonding, because studies using, believe it or not, the neuroimaging techniques such as the fMRI, or the functional magnetic resonance imaging, can actually look at the brain, right? And it's like a big black circle under this fMRI, but then there's like little lights, like a Christmas tree almost, lighting up when certain things are said to a person. A person under the imaging hears the person's voice, say somebody they're attracted to or somebody they're in love with, and you can see and measure that. So it actually is proven within our brains, which is really cool. And therefore we feel better throughout our system, our whole body, if we're around the right people, if the right people are supporting us and holding our hand along life's path and journey. And what does all of this then do towards society? Well, it builds culture and cross-cultural perspectives. If we're solid in a country and we're super happy and super duper relationships, and there's no bachelors and there's no singletons and there's nobody with really bad stories of internet dating or something crazy like that, then if we're all linked in with somebody, that's the perfect world, and we feel that we can cultivate and we can have a family and we can grow and we have population growth all the way through in each country. But if we look at each country, other than, oddly enough, the poor countries where there's population growth, but then we question, are they all born out of love or just sex? So intimate relationships and emotion and health will lead on to population growth, but also healthy leadership, good religions, healthy cultures, and great communication, because they're all intertwined together. Of course, we have a lot of migration and so on, and coming in and out of countries. This can be good, this can be bad, but how we manage it, how we have the loving frame of where this all comes from, is deep-seated within human emotion. That, my friend, is how we relate. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, well, thank you for watching. Indeed, please do go and watch more.